Citizens comment period. The City Council welcomes comments from the audience who wish to speak before the council. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that anyone who wishes to speak fill out a public citizen comment form and submit it to either myself or the city secretary. And we have a few registered here. First up is Christopher Harrell, coming to speak against agenda item number 25.
Mayor, council members, my name is Christopher Harrell. I am a new homeowner in the city of Kyle. I've been homeowner since first part of May. Even more to the point, I'm new to Texas. But one thing I'm not new to is development and changing in zoning, particularly zoning that hasn't been planned out. And in this particular instance, item number 25, the zoning request change, it doesn't take into account a lot of different things. And one thing that we have to look at is planning for the increase in traffic. This particular zoning change is requesting to be, an apartment zoning. And Windy Hill Road, as it sits right now, is not capable of handling the extra traffic. Thank you. Windy Hill Road, as it sits right now, is not prepared to handle even a fraction of the traffic that this type of change will bring forth, in addition to the retail aspect of it. So with that, I'm urging the council members to disallow or to vote no on this change. And with that, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Todd Ullman here to speak against agenda item number 25. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Todd Ullman. My wife Gigi and I own 232 Bobolink Cove in Meadows of Kyle, which is very near to the subject property that's being proposed. I am also the vice president of our homeowners association, but I do not represent the HOA. We're still under declarant control, so I do not represent DR Horton as well. If you'll excuse me, I'll read some prepared remarks if you don't mind. As beneficiaries of a pro-growth plan, we fully support the continued success of the city of Kyle. We also support the updated comprehensive plan with a couple of exceptions, which being new homeowners and being a new community, we really haven't had an opportunity, we feel, to really dive into that. Living within the city limits and being in the area of the proposed rezoning, we feel that we have relevant knowledge and an understanding that will aid in the decision that you will make tonight. The City of Kyle Ordinance 950, the comprehensive plan, is the backdrop for my comments. In the second whereas statement, it reads, the city in anticipation of growth and expansion desires a plan for an orderly and efficient growth of the city. We feel like this is an advanced decision, then it's not in an orderly manner. The third whereas statement reads, the city desires to facilitate the lessening of congestion in streets, the securing of its citizens and visitors from fire, panic, and other dangers, the promotion of the general health and welfare, the provision of adequate light and air, the prevention of the overcrowding of property and undue concentration of populations, and the adequate provision of transportation, water, sewers, schools, parks, and other public requirements. Rezoning of the property as proposed and considering the planned development by the owner, we feel it does not meet the standards identified by the city as orderly growth. Furthermore, it will make our citizens less secure, we feel, from fire, panic, and other dangers, create undue concentration of populations, and weaken the provisions of transportation, water, sewer, schools, parks, and other public requirements. Approving this rezoning at this time will also be detrimental to the property values in the area and also, we feel, may stifle growth by discouraging future development in the surrounding areas. Lack of adequate transportation infrastructure, as mentioned, and reliance on outside resources of water, fire, EMS are serious concerns. Historically, we have felt a lack of police presence. I'd like to thank Chief Barnett publicly for his efforts to belay that. Our concern is that this complex will further increase that burden. I'd like to bring your attention now to the application itself. On page 3, it states that public notification in newspaper was October 25th. Proof of the notification was not provided at this meeting, and there are no minutes from the planning committee meeting currently available for us. The application was received by the planning department on October 6th. The agenda was posted on November 9th. The meeting was held on November 14th. Considering the 10th was a federal holiday, I know it was not a state or local holiday, and the weekend, we essentially had 2 business days notice of the agenda items. And we feel like, or I feel like this may in fact be a stretch of the Brown Act. The letter dated October 11th, 2017 states, and I will mispronounce his name, I apologize, Mr. Karowalia supported the annexation in November 2013, subject to being given original permanent zoning that conforms to the existing development plan for the subject properties. This appears to be, in my opinion, a level of quid pro quo, at least on the part of Mr. Karowalia or his attorneys. The letter references attachment A. It repeats. It validates the position of the owner and that the intent to support the annexation is completely dependent on the city approving the rezoning. It goes even further to state that the owner originally requested voluntary annexation into the city in order to connect to the city's wastewater system after it had experienced problems with the on-site sewage facility, which coincidentally services the Mi Rancho meat market. The letter states that this has been corrected, but my neighbors would argue otherwise. The letter then goes on to maintain that it has satisfied the Texas Code Section 43.002, which is conveniently highlighted as Attachment D in your packet. However, what the attorney failed to do was highlight the entire section pertinent to include the requirement that B also be completed. A completed application for the initial authorization was filed with the governmental entity before the date of annexation proceedings were instituted. That application is also conveniently not provided in your packet to determine the date filed. Aside from the position we hold concerning the lack of infrastructure present to include wastewater, transportation, fire, EMS, and potable water, and aside from the position that we hold, this property will denigrate our property values and further make it more difficult for the city to solicit future development in that area. Aside from all that, I highly encourage the council to present a motion to table this rezoning request indefinitely and submit it back to committee. I want to thank you for your time. I also want to thank the plan. I understand that it's a lot of work that goes into the planning committee, so I don't want to admonish them publicly, but I feel like they presented you with an incomplete packet. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's all the public comments forms that I have. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, I will now close the citizens' comments period, and we will move on to